Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band are playing the last cards they've been dealt. Eli tried to heal Morgan further while hoping their alliance with Lizzo Lizardman will pay off. Attikus negotiated with the king and the party planner. And Valentyne made his report to the Space Marine Forest Pollard. As the end of the celestial season closes in, will the team find a way into the Cloud Palace? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Well, at least it wasn't an execution. Lucius Valentyne. Valentyne, you have managed to not get murdered in a basement. This isn't the type of thing that normally would be high on a list of things to celebrate, but having just laid out a number of conspiracies that you and your compatriots are vaguely implicated in to a giant space marine whose allegiances to the crown are somewhat questionable, it was a 50-50. We were dealing with a 50-50 bet there, but you laid everything out for him. He has left. You are left alone. Attikus, I think we can safely say you come to join Valentyne after this report has been given, but I want to give you guys a moment to catch up, given that you've just had kind of a major encounter there, Valentyne.
Valentyne is packing up his whole report.
Yeah. Attikus will come down the steps. I think likely being the lord of the manor will have been made known to him, I assume, that Forest Pollard was here and then left. So yeah, he's kind of, I think, rushing down the stairs into the basement just to make sure that his Inquisitor is intact and not a stain on the fucking floor and ceiling and walls. Come rushing down, a little out of breath, a little short of breath, and just say, sir?
Yes, I have survived this encounter. He came in threatening to kill me and left with an attaboy, so I think overall it's gone as well as it can. I don't know if he's going to be resolving any of these conspiracies. He did not seem interested in them in the least. However, I do believe we now know what the seed looks like. It's the one part of the story that I withheld. Appears to be a black gem, somewhat shiny, maybe shards, maybe in multiple parts. If you could do me a favor, we need to go into that room where the Space Marine came from and break open anything that may contain shiny black shards.
Yes, sir, right away. And Attikus will head over to the bookshelves and carefully move them, as we will likely need to cover this up again afterwards. But he'll just start going to work, just smashing away at anything that looks like a container or anything like that. Sure. In this
Valentyne wants to scan the walls. Maybe a Space Marine dug out a brick and put it back. There's options. Like, we got to see if we can find it.
Okay, so let's go ahead with a roll for this. I will say, Attikus, in the room, Tank pretty much smashed anything that was smashable in his attempts to get out.
Sure.
A little bit like a trapped animal. So there aren't really any containers or anything to smash because they have either been smashed or eaten over time. So there's maybe like scraps of wood here and there where there would have been crates once, but they've been smashed to shit.
I'll just sift through rubble then too.
Sure. Well, and you know, punching walls and that sort of thing, you can certainly do. So let's go ahead. This is a weird one. Perception seems like the wrong piece for this.
Perception is the using an aspect skill for Valentyne, maybe for scouting purposes.
Yeah, okay. Let's go perception then for you, Ryan. And for Tyler, let's say your punching stuff is okay. A boost.
Okay. I was gonna just jam with you, rap with you on how this works out. But if you've got it as like a boost, that's good with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to start, and then we'll see where we get to. Okay, so Valentyne, I'm going to say difficulty of 2. The walls are thick, but there's also not a lot of machinery down here. Not that it predates technology because Warhammer, but there's no fucking wiring or anything, so you're not getting the sort of interference you would normally get. Get a boost for Attikus. If you see even a hint of a signal, he can just punch around it Anything else you want to make a case for here?
I think that's it. I think this is it's a Hail Mary. He's not expecting to find anything here, but who knows if there's a tunnel behind one of these bricked up walls that a Marine might not know about. How did he get in here? We're missing information that could be useful.
Sure. Okay.
Alrighty. 4 successes and 3 advantage.
Hey, nice.
All right. So scanning meticulously through this sort of cold cellar, you know, floor to ceiling, like you're painting the walls, but just with your auspics, being very, very diligent, having Attikus punch chunks out of the wall here and there, almost like when you're trying to find a stud, but rather than tapping on the wall, he's just punching through the wall to see what's there. This feels very much like it's part of the foundation of the building. So you're not punching through to tunnels, you're basically punching through to like more permacrete and then beyond that into dirt. So Attikus continues to punch, you continue to scan, but there's absolutely no trace of anything hidden in the walls.
Great. The final step he'd take is collecting some bleach and pouring it over any blood on the floor or elsewhere, just so there's no proof that a Space Marine was ever here in case the king decides to be like, fuck these guys, because then all the proof is removed from this room.
What? You think he would do that?
I 100% think he would. He's a coked up psychopath.
Yeah.
Great.
I think he would do that now. I spoke with him recently.
Excellent. So have completed your sort of small investigation. Is there anything you two would want to confer about before we move on to the executions?
Yeah, Attikus would want to catch Valentyne up on the conversations you've had. So he would just say, well, now that that's all settled, you should know that spoke with the king. He hung up the call on me. I'm not sure how he feels about me. But he did say he'll be doing the executions himself tonight, and that instead he'll be hunting someone for sport tomorrow in the garden maze. He made it sound like it might be one or more of the leaders of the rebels. He seems to know who they are from questioning the assassins. One of them is already dead from questioning, and the other one is being worked over currently. With the hunt going on in the garden, he has given me a seat next to the Duke tomorrow for that bit of entertainment. I suppose that's a good thing. And in addition to that, I have let the Ratling know that we're using the garden for a hunt and that the house is being set up to be appraised as part of a little bit of an event to be a dowry.
Excellent. So your conversation with the king sounds fruitful. If he's willing to carry out the hunt here, then at least there's a piece of entertainment. A time with the Duke may indeed prove priceless in terms of this exchange. If he hung up rudely, he's powerful. That gives him the ability to do that. It's not necessarily a review of your performance. In terms of the event, it sounds like you've done an excellent job working with Birano.
Birano, yes, sir. You're a bit more worldly than I am, sir. Is paper mache, is that fancy or good for a noble to have?
In what sense?
As like a big sun rising up over the house and then turning to show my big face and the Duke's big face on the paper mache sun. It was top of the list on about 8 different paper mache based options that Birano had for us.
Non-paper mache options?
No, not that I could tell, sir. Really, after I said no paper mache, he said, well, like, what do you want then? Like, he had nothing else to offer but paper mache. So, I don't know whether paper that is made wet and then dried again, as I understand it, is good. It sounds bad, sir, but
yes,
he's a
it's
party planner.
Quite terrible. Quite terrible. I would say embarrassing to the level of I wouldn't do it at a children's party in this company.
Well, then I'll go talk to him then again, I suppose. What would
you like
be...
me to go talk to him? I think that might be advisable in this circumstance.
Well, yes, sir. If you find it advisable, then I agree.
Yes, would you like to attend to watch me dress down Birano, or to perhaps enforce authority, or would you rather I just make this go away?
I think I'll take this as a learning opportunity, sir. Thank you. I'll follow you.
Excellent. Please come with me.
Attikus, you take 3 strain from fucking up that hard in front of the Inquisitor. Feel real not great about that. Valentyne, you lead the charge out to the grounds to dress down Birno, who is overseeing the construction of large hooped frames on which to sling the paper mache. And you can see there are several large washing, barrels that have basically been cut in half, but very, very wide, filled with water, with just a bunch of book pages floating in them. Gary and some of the other assistants are just ripping more pages out of books and throwing them in the water. And of course, dumping in flour, because you need some flour. Paper mache don't fly. And there's one over each of these 3 big tubs. Someone just stirring it with a large sort of butter churn style spoon.
Everyone stop what you are doing right now. And I'm going to storm over, and I want to take a look at the books that have been strewn casually across the grass. Tom, I have a list of appraisals of things. How much were these books worth?
Not non-zero amount of money.
They weren't expensive, or were they expensive?
Oh, they were mid-expensive. They aren't cheap. They were worth a non-zero amount of money, but they're not priceless. They're not, this is the first edition of, I don't know, the Emperor and Me, Rabute Gilliman's Adventures in Imperium. It's not nothing.
Who told you that you could destroy the library belonging to Balansong Manor to make this monstrosity?
And they all point at Birno, comes forward and says, well, hang on. In fairness, I didn't say use books. I said find some paper. And look, desperate times, desperate measures. But I assure you, the Lord has told me that he is very excited about the sun situation we're building. So really, can you put a
Draw
price
me a picture of our Lord right now. Use this paper. And he reaches over and tears a page out of a book and holds it out to Birno.
And Birno shrugs and says, okay, all right. It's a bit of a waste of time, but sure. And he proceeds to draw a fucking pitch perfect Attikus. Like, this is the equivalent of, just throwing a sketched filter over a picture of Attikus. Like, then he's like, I haven't seen him that much, so it might be a little bit off, but this guy.
Wonderful. Do Duke Wixthrop.
Does another page, does an immaculate Duke Wixthrop, holds him up. There's a twinkle in his eyes. He's got a far-off expression like that Che Guevara shirt.
These are quite good. That, he says, pointing to the giant hooped sun, is going to look like a child's party failure. Why do you think papier-mâché is appropriate to the highest art form of this world?
Oh, well, that's a pretty easy answer, actually. Because, when you only have a little bit of time, you got to get a whole new party together. Because let's say your other party got canceled, you got to make do with what you got. And this is the fastest way I could make something unnecessarily large and impressive there, champ.
What were your other ideas?
Well, I had a bunch of other papier-mâché ones, none of which the Lord seemed particularly invested in. However, I do have a couple others. He just didn't ask. I crossed 8 off my list, and he didn't bother to ask about the other 3.
Tell me the 3.
All right. So you've already got your maze. You got your big mansion. I'm thinking people love some pyrotechnics. And it seems to me that the Van Houtens have another mansion. So I'm thinking we just blow this one up. Big pyrotechnics show. Everyone's very impressed.
Next idea.
Great. So you got this big house, right? You got that big maze over there. Amazing. But everyone here, they're used to that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking we move it. It's not even in the mansion. It's not even in the maze. It's not even on the grounds. It's in the woods out back. Throw a big woods party. Everyone's dancing around the woods. We can set a bunch of bonfires. I can string some paper mache up in the trees. Really make it a kind of cool forest gig. Not a lot of people here get out in the country. I think we could really play that element up. Revitalization, just like the Lord said.
And why is there paper mache in the woods?
Oh, because we can't get proper decorations in the right amount of time. The rest of the nobility have already bought them all up. Venom Blight's used them all for the final celebration there. There's not a lot of stuff we can buy. Most of it's already been used. So I'm just making do with what we got. I don't want the Lord to look like a chump because he doesn't have any decorations, so I'm just making ones. Just because we can't buy it doesn't mean we can't have it.
You realize if you make pathetic decorations, that's actually worse than not having no decorations. You want to do nothing rather than something poorly.
Forgive my candor, but how many parties have you been to here?
Forgive my candor, but who do you work for? I don't work for you.
I'm just saying, I've never been in one with no decorations. That sounds like it's going to be a mighty big problem. Even if the decorations look like shit, at least there's decorations.
Third idea.
Well, the third idea is that we create a series of banners, just kind of festoon them around the mansion, make it look a little bit different from the outside. See, take some of these likenesses and dramatic poses, kind of recapture some of the glories that we've already seen from Lord Van Houten here, and we just make them very dramatic, like in the old ways. But it's kind of old-fashioned to just have pictures, well-drawn pictures of somebody up. It's much better if there's some spectacle. But hey, if you want to go real basic, we could just do a series of banners depicting all of his great victories and, I don't know, maybe make a statue of him with that giant arm looking dramatic. But
what's the statue made out of? What is the statue made out of?
What do you think? Wood. We'll carve it.
We're doing this third thing. Yes, carve the statue. We're going to have you draw. Clearly you draw very well. Do all the banners. Show the victories. And also, show up the king and Duke Wickstrop. Let's draw some clear comparisons that glory can be brought to that family from this family.
All right, well, I guess there's no accounting for taste. I'll make all these boring-ass old things that no one's going to care about or pay attention to, but if you just want an immaculately made statue and a bunch of drawings festooned across a building, I guess we could do that. Can I make the clothes out of paper mache?
If you make anything out of paper mache, I will break both of your arms.
All right there, champ. Looks like we're not doing any more paper mache. Hey there, guys. I need you to take all that soggy paper and go dump it somewhere unimportant where it's out of the Lord's view and out of this man's view, because I'm scared he's going to break my arms.
Excellent. Do well.
It's the only way I do, champ.
Well, based on my experience, that may not be true. Do well this time, and he's going to turn to leave.
And you just see Birno turn, Ozymandias looking on his works crumbling and just shoulders drop. He says, all right, well, break up the frames. Guess the sun won't rise tomorrow. And they get to work breaking down the frames.
And as they step into the house, Valentyne will look to Attikus and say, my lord, don't entirely blame yourself for leaning to paper mache. He is tremendously convincing about it. However, it is insane when you really think about it.
We're not in the basement, so Attikus will just curtly nod and say, yes, much of this is quite unusual.
Agreed, sir, agreed. I think your tastes and overall choices for this event will truly make it shine. I believe Duke Wickstrop will appreciate all of your efforts.
Yes, well, here's hoping.
After tonight, this whole world will love you.
And with that, the royal guards arrive to escort you to the center of town, where a demonstration is set to take place. Morgan, Eli, Attikus, and Valentyne, you find yourselves back together.
Oh my God.
Ish. In the same vicinity as all of the people who participated in the hunt are gathered up in the center of town. A large platform has been raised, not with paper mache, I should add, has been raised with wood, and a series of headsman's blocks have been set up. There are a number of lower class folk kind of on their knees over top of these stumps, and a number of royal guard with axes. You note, though, that the axes are all mismatched, and it seems a little off. A video screen has been erected over top, sort of overseeing all of it. And beyond this sort of large platform, you can see other people have been gathered. There are also some people from the hunting adventure missing. And so the video screen jumps to life, and King Fitzgerald shows up, as always, and says, hello, everybody, citizens of the society, citizens of Greybridge. And you notice he's dressed in finery now. No more hunting gear. He actually looks like a king, if somewhat still the like pitted eyes, and like he's got like bags under his eyes from coming down off of not sleeping in, space cocaine. And he just says, I've gathered you all here for a long overdue demonstration, I think, because I'm a fun guy, and I think you all know that. And I use the power of my cloud palace to change the seasons for you, to give you just this special time once every so often where we don't have to be out in the rain and the gray, where we can enjoy seasons this planet doesn't see otherwise. I bring that to you. That's me. I do that. No one else does that. I do that. This planet is mine. And the way it works, works. And if you don't like it, you can try and win the celestial season. You can come up with something interesting that the planet needs. Or you can shut the fuck up about it. But you see, when too many of you don't shut the fuck up about it, we end up with a problem like this. Today, during the hunt, the most sacred part of the celestial season, aside from the fucking marriage ceremony or whatever, a bunch of the citizens of Greybridge took it upon themselves to target their betters, thinking that the hunt would provide them with a sufficient amount of cover to just knock off a few nobles here and there. Before you, and he kind of gestures beneath him, are the frontline perpetrators of this. Above you, and 3 airships slowly descend out of the sky with landing platforms down and somewhat scared-looking nobles at the edge of the landing platforms. Above you are the ones who made it happen. A bunch of the lesser houses who stood no chance of rising in the celestial season. Despite the fact that, they put on a good enough show, maybe they could have found a better marriage, but instead they decided to try and kill some of you. If it wasn't for the acts of Lord Van Houten, a true soldier and warrior for, Greybridge and I guess the Imperium, these assassins could have killed the best of us, the best that Greybridge has to offer. Luckily, as a trophy for me, he brought in some very talkative folks who told us all about how the working class and the lower houses were joining forces to try and make things better for themselves. Well, here's the thing. I told you before that I can stop the rain. But did you know that I can start it too? And immediately Royal Guard just start booting nobles off the ramp of the airships above you. And he gestures broadly to the block as the screaming people kind of fall, bouncing off buildings and kind of exploding on the pavement. Oof. And he says, now, normally I would have my Space Marine deal with these folks, but he's busy, I guess. So here are some of my best and brightest. And you know what? They're all going to take a swing at being headsmen. So without further ado, one at a time, we got about 60 people to get through. So this is going to take a while. But I want you all to watch as this rebellion drops one head after another and one noble asshole after another. And remember, I belong in the sky. You belong beneath me. And if you try and change that, this happens. And immediately heads just start getting chopped. People are throwing up in the crowd. This is a grim ceremony. And it is notable that Fitzgerald himself is not here. But anyway, you guys have to sit through a lot of this, but it does give you a chance to confer slightly if you want to.
Sorry, do you mean Duke Wixthrop isn't here?
No, King Fitzgerald is only on the screen. He's not physically present.
Got it. Thank you. Sorry.
And Duke Wixthrop is nowhere.
He's also not present. Yep. Right. Okay.
Valentyne's got cover to maintain, baby. Hell no, he doesn't know how they've been compromised or in what way, so he's there. I will flag one thing that I realized would have come up in conversation because he desperately needs to tell Attikus this for Attikus to be able to maintain cover. So not here, would have been relayed on the way in writing or something so the Royal Guard couldn't see. He just needs to let him know that they robbed us, according to the story, and the weapons were stolen heirlooms of fallen comrades of his. So if the king or somebody else talks to him about the weapons, that's our cover story for the weapons. But no, Valentyne is just in full disdain, disgust, treating them like criminals who have robbed his lord. Just palpable rage that they have not been arrested is all anyone would get off of Rabute seeing them also at an event.
Yeah, and I think that the same is back there. Morgan would be with Eli doing the same cover, but Morgan's pretty beat up. She would be using Eli, like helping her stand. So she's kind of pretending to be affected by some of this and just doing like, oh no, like very fake. But again, doing the thing of like, I'm going to look at him, but not look at him. I'm going to Lord Van Houten, but we're awkward. So it's like faking the angst between us, our groups, basically.
And Valentyne's just staring through his daredevil mask, but also being like, okay, Morgan physically is now able to move, did not die at Hunt. They have new clothes. They must have found a place to stay. I don't think she's betraying us because she could have done it more cleverly, but I don't know what the play is here. So he just has to stay in character.
Yeah.
Eli just has he's just standing up tall, arms folded, letting Morgan lean on him and taking deep, satisfied breaths of finally something happening. This is
Valentyne doesn't give a shit about the
familiar
executions.
sounds and smells. These are smells of comfort. And screams of it's good. It's good for him.
Yeah.
There is a commotion behind you as this grim spectacle continues, and you turn to see Boberstein and his entourage trying to push through the guards at the back out, and you hear him just kind of over the commotion, and there's music playing. Like he's playing, like, you know, Fitzgerald's just pumping like the anthem of Greybridge through this whole thing. So it's a big sweeping orchestral, very bombastic tune that's just kind of on repeat as all these executions occur. But Boberstein is pushing against royal guards. He's got some of his people pushing against their people, and you overhear him say, "Look, I have an appointment I need to make tonight. So I need you to get, I understand what's going on here. I had nothing to do with this. I've seen it. I know it's happening. You need to let me through." And the royal guards are, of course, just as unmovable to him as they were to Attikus. But is that something you want to investigate, or is there anything you're trying to observe? Like, what's
Valentyne data slate up. This is like, let's get tape of this. Let's see who's going. He's not in a position where he could approach politically, but this is like, oh, let's get it on tape that this guy wanted to leave. This sounds great.
Great. Okay, so you're recording?
In an officious, he looks like he's typing, but it's that same way of like pretending to text on your phone while photographing a celebrity at a restaurant. Like he's just doing that.
Gotcha. So you're recording there. I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think that's easy enough to do during this. Morgan, can I get a perception or...
That's what I was thinking, is she would just generally be watching everything. But
yeah, I would say perception. I would also take streetwise, to be honest, because I'll leave it up to you. Perception would be I'm actively looking around. Streetwise, I think, would be the soft focus. It's like hard focus or soft focus. If it's hard focus, I am trying to ascertain stuff. Then perception, if it's more of a I kind of am just going to soft focus and see what rolls over me, then streetwise. But I'll let you pick which one works best for you.
I think streetwise, because it's the same thing of there's so much commotion and so many noises and stuff going on that it's the general, can I get something that sticks out to me, or even people's faces or something.
Yeah, I also feel like that's probably more Morgan's style, which is like, I'll just go sit in a crowded room and listen, and I'll probably pick something up rather than like, I will look around the room and see what's what.
Exactly, okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to say difficulty of 3.
Okay.
3 purple. You get a same thing we had with Eli earlier, boost for crowd and setback for crowd.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a boost for the bar that we literally just described. I think this is a skill set you've honed over years of both being on the run and just running a bar. This is how
being
bartenders
in these loud
work.
Spaces and trying to anticipate danger or things of note.
Anyone want to make a case for anything else?
That makes sense to me. It's just, what can we get out of these situations, which is kind of where Morgan is generally. Like, we're fucked, but maybe something can come from this, you know?
Maybe not 100% fucked, like 80% fucked. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll your dice, please.
5 advantages.
Interesting. With 5 advantage, Morgan, you start to get a sense of the crowd. You don't pick up anything specific, but you start to understand the ebb and flow of it a bit. You understand who is so horrified by the spectacle occurring. Nothing like this has happened in Greybridge in a long time. There was the Voidstain Rebellion back before their name was Voidstain, but beyond that, a spectacle of this nature and this brutality is not common here. As we've described, you know, if someone committed a murder in the middle of Bridgerton, everyone in Bridgerton would be deeply not okay. If it wasn't an honor duel or some shit, it was literally just a brutal murder in front of them, they would not be cool with it. So that's going on. But beyond that, with no successes, I can't give you any additional information. But with that amount of advantage, I think it would be safe to say you're setting yourself up for something. What do you think Morgan would like to try and dig deeper on, if anything?
Honestly, if that's all I'm getting from the general sense of these people in this situation, it feels like, okay, that's mostly what we know about all of this. So if anything, I think I want to pass the advantage on to Valentyne and in some way try to confer that, like, we are still on side, like we are still helping. Whether that's like I've walked towards a direction and bumped Eli into someone that then shows someone else that's standing behind so that he can see, or something like that, of just I am still trying to help in some way.
So running interference for Valentyne while he's observing
Yes.
Boberstein. Okay, I like that. Eli, I don't think I'm going to have you roll because you're just 1,000-yard stare. This is just you're happy things are happening, and or do you think you'd be actively taking in the scene, or is it just kind of like
it would be there's a lot happening, so Eli's training of just kind of keeping track and making sure that the chaos is proceeding as chaotically as expected, and there's no patterns emerging in the chaos that would suggest that there is danger in any direction other than the people who are being punished.
Gotcha. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And so far there is no additional danger that you can see.
Cool.
Attikus, how about you?
I think under the ruse of having a lord's authority, I might go over to Robbie Boberstein, so that my right-hand man here can also accompany me and get closer and more accurately capture what's going on, and might even be able to I might speak with Robbie as well, depending on how his little stunt plays out here.
Sure. So you approach, and he can't get past these guards until the spectacle is done. And as you approach, he just kind of turns and like his eyes narrow at you as you approach. Just I don't have time for whatever you want right now.
What's all this? What's going on here?
It's none of your concern, Van Houten. I'm just trying to make a speedy exit from this nonsense. I've got somewhere to be.
Nonsense. This is the mass execution of the people who killed Lady Bolensong. I thought that might mean something to you, Boberstein.
Oh, it's the mass execution of the people who killed Lady Bolensong, huh? Well, that's weird because you're here and he's there. And he points at Valentyne, and he points over at Morgan and I guess he'd probably point over at Morgan. He was like, and they're over there. So is it really all the people responsible for Lady Bolensong are up there? No, I think a bunch of other unrelated assholes are up there, and there's more shit still going on. But again, and he takes
what are you
deep breath.
saying?
Oh, I think I'm being pretty clear here in what I'm saying.
No.
But
Clearer, here, for everyone to hear. What is it that you think is going on?
and he just shakes his head and he says, "Look, man, I'm trying to put all this behind me. I'm looking at the future, not the past. And it deeply pains me that I don't think the ones responsible are getting punished right now. But that doesn't matter because Gwen's dead, and that's what matters. So that already happened. That's done." And then he steps forward and just kind of leans in close to you and says, "But between you and me, you fucking know what you did, Mr. Executor."
I competed. That estate was willed to me by Lady Bolensong. Now, if you think this goes deeper, or if there's more to uncover here, Greybridge is my home too, as much as it is yours. I may not have been here as long as you have, but this is my home, my ancestral home, and I will protect it with my life. That's something I don't think you know much about.
And he kind of like smiles sadly at that. He says, "Yeah, no, you're right about that, but I'm working on fixing that. That's why I need to go."
Well, maybe we can help each other.
Yeah? Do you want to go punch a royal guard for me and I'll just walk out of here?
No, I'm afraid things that I punch tend to not get up again, and that would be bad for all of us here, I think.
Right. Gestures around to all of the guards.
You may not have noticed the other day, but I also tried to do a bit of what you're doing here, and I had about, 11 guns pointed at me. Just for speaking. I raised a hand, not even this one. Shots fired off nearly killed my man here.
Yeah, was that the hunt?
That was at the hunt.
I wasn't at the hunt.
Why
No,
weren't you at
excuse
the
me.
hunt?
Because I've got better shit to do. More important shit to do. Now, please get the fuck out of my way. I really need to go. Whatever. I don't want to be your friend. I don't understand any of this. I don't understand what you're trying to do here, man. Okay? So you can tell he's getting more agitated, but you're also making some good points. Tyler, can you go ahead and roll me a social skills check? Attikus' favorite.
Yeah, well, thank goodness I'm not wearing my armor with intimidating design, because that usually works against me when I'm trying to charm people. It makes me seem crazy. It helps with coercion, but not with charm. So what are we looking at, sir?
Yeah, it does sound like you're going with charm, to be honest.
Charm? Sure.
Yeah,
So
you're,
charm
you're
is
playing at level
presence.
with him. You're trying to commiserate with him. You're trying to find common ground.
Okay, I have my presence stats up in the pool. What else are we throwing in there?
I will give you one for telling the truth.
A boost, okay.
Yep, boost for just straight up telling the truth.
Okay.
In terms of difficulty, this is going to be 2 red, 1 purple.
2 red, 1 purple, got it.
Ooh.
I will give you a setback for the fact that he clearly thinks you killed Valentyne. I will give you a boost for explaining that you also tried to fight your way out of, or tried to push your way past Royal Guards and failed. I think
Okay.
even if he's suspicious of you, that's an odd detail.
Okay.
Anyone want to make an argument for anything else? We have a ton of advantage floating around, but unfortunately it's attached to Valentyne right now.
My motive here is just to get this guy to keep running his mouth, to just keep talking, because I know this is being captured and that we can kind of dissect this at a later time. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep talking, man. What else is on your mind? Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. I think that's it from me.
Okay. Then I am rolling. This is skewed towards losing, but stranger things have happened. It's a wash.
Ooh.
Completely
Whoa.
zeroed results. 1 failure, 1 success. 1, 2, 3, 4 advantage. 1, 2, yeah, 4 threat. Yeah, complete wash.
Okay.
Damn.
So he just shakes his head and says, please, just leave me alone. And he goes back to kind of the corner he was in with his crew, sits down kind of petulantly on a folding chair or something, and just continues to watch as nobles rain from the sky and peasants are executed. Just clearly in a funk. Just he's decided he has to wait it out, and he's going to wait it out.
Then still like under the mask of Van Houten, I'll turn to Rabute and say,
What exactly do you make of that? That all this is nothing and he doesn't understand it? His house has been here for generations. What was he talking about?
He said a great many things, my lord, hopefully because he was upset. The ramifications of some of his claims would be damning if they were shared in public. So, may he keep it to himself, and we may both think on these words. Both think on these words and decide whom we should share them with, and why and how.
I agree. Strange little fellow he is, though.
Yes, very disappointing, my lord, I'm sure.
A few more minutes go by, and the executions are complete. Fitzgerald has been watching from the view screen the whole time. As the last axes fall, he looks dead into the camera and says, "This is not how I wanted to end the day. We were supposed to have a party. It was going to be so very fun. Instead, I had to kill a bunch of you. I don't want to have to do that again. So please, no more rebellious thoughts. Let's just enjoy this. Enjoy the celestial season. It's already so fucking short. In any case, tomorrow, the Cloud Palace will be working overtime to bring fall. And then we will have our lovely show of art and our party at our dearly departed Gwendolyn Ballensong's manor, hosted by our erstwhile large-armed friend, Lord Van Houten. If anyone fucks this up further, you will meet the same fate as those you see around you. Okay? Okay. Everybody go the fuck home. stop wrecking this for me, and we will see you tomorrow for a better day. And with that, the royal guard steps aside. The curfew will commence once the sun goes down. The real sun, not the paper mache one. But the guards following everyone everywhere piece seems to be resolved now that the people behind the assassinations have been executed. The crowd does not know what to do with itself. People are really, really taken aback and haunted. The place is a mess. They didn't drop people on you, obviously, but close enough to you that you're all lightly in the splash zone if you're on the edges there. So it is a grim day in Greybridge as everyone sort of starts to depart and make their way home. Is there anything any of you want to do on your way out?
Attikus is basically just going to keep in mind maintaining the cover of like complete animosity towards Rawls and Clarence. If there's any interaction there, he despises them and will not like give them the time of day. And yeah.
Great. As the crowd starts to disperse, Vernelius Venomblight, the party planner, and his entourage of like the servitor and the two sycophants comes over, and he just smiles sort of witheringly at you, Attikus, and says, "So I hear that you hired the Ratling to plan your party. Is that true?"
Yes, it's quite a shame we weren't able to retain your services.
I would never. Well, and he just reaches up, almost goes to pat you on the head and then thinks better of it. So there's a weird like...
Good boy.
I was going to say, that's where Valentyne catches his wrist. That's just the hand goes to pat and just gets frozen in place. And Valentyne uses his augmetic hand. So there's a little bit of a sharp grip on there. He's not going to do any damage, but it's not going to move.
Yeah, fair enough. He says, "Forgive me, I was being perhaps too personal with my handiwork." And the sycophants laugh, and the servitor just blares out that horrible binary, like, "Ah, ha, ha," like binary laugh.
To quote an over-perfumed arse kisser, I would never.
And I'm going to leave.
And
I'm going to hold him in place while Attikus walks away until Attikus is clear, and then release the arm and turn to follow.
And he just like cradles his hand. And again, as we've determined with many of these nobles, unaware that he can bleed his own blood. And he looks down at his hand and just huffs. Morgan and Eli, as you're leaving, can you please roll me a perception check? I want one from each of you. It's a difficulty of 1 red, 1 purple. Get a setback for the crowd noise. I think that's it, unless you want to make a case for anything.
Nope. That seems like normal. Okay, go to just roll it. I'm scared. I got 4 successes.
I got 1 advantage, 2 failures.
Okay. Eli, you're now on full alert to crowd control, so you're not really paying attention to anything other than all the bodies that are suddenly around both of you, and suddenly very aware of how exposed, weaponless, and hated the two of you are. So you start kind of Mr. Presidenting Morgan out of there. But Morgan, you are trained on crowds. And you spend a lot of time just absorbing information from crowds. So as Eli starts to kind of hustle you out of the crowd into the streets back towards the boarding house, which admittedly is not far from here.
Okay,
Given
I was wondering how we got here.
Yeah. You catch something that sends a chill up your spine. As on the wind, you hear a very distinctive laugh, a gargling, electronically broken up laugh. And as Eli kind of hurries you out, you look back over your shoulder to see Valentyne holding Vernelius Venomblight's hand, Attikus saying something and turning to walk away, and a servitor who is laughing in a deeply familiar way. You recognize the laugh of Lizzo Lizardman.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Brian LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic, at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.